Fox Sports.
We are Fox Sports. We are St. Louis.
Welcome to Cardinals baseball. Tonight is a special night from downtown St. Louis because Busch Stadium has been transformed into a galaxy far, far away. And as you can see, we are racing across right now the galaxy at what I can only assume is a run less than 12 parsecs. We're on our way to Busch Stadium for what I believe will be an epic conflict between the Reds from the Cincinnati system and the Cardinals from right here in your very own St. Louis system.
That's right, Dan. We've made all the calculations in order to avoid flying right through a star or bouncing too close to a supernova so we can safely arrive at the broadcast booth to bring you what promises to be a great matchup tonight.
And Rick, here we are. We're pulling in right up to the home plate gate here at Busch Stadium. We'll disembark and clean any Myox off the hull very quickly and make our way up to the booth so we can bring you all the action from the best spaceport in baseball.
In game one and a victory for St. Louis. Lance Lynn, 7 innings in game one and a victory for St. Louis. Last night, Mike Leake, outstanding through 8. Reds win tonight. Anthony DeSclafani will get the start, the right-hander for Cincinnati. And the veteran John Lackey has been terrific at home for the St. Louis Cardinals. Pair of right-handers, rubber game. Cardinals and Reds coming up next on Fox Sports Midwest. Here at the ballpark, and baseball is brought to you by Budweiser. Make a plan to make it home. Save big money at Menards on all your home improvement needs. And visit your local Mid-America Chevy dealers for great prices on our all-new 2015 vehicles today. Keith O'Brien and Brian McCann, the geniuses behind our Open. They did a great job, put a lot of time and effort into that, and we appreciate it. It was unbelievable going that fast to get here, though.
I'm a little nauseous actually with that trip, but
Me too.
I feel like I'll get better as the game goes along.
Let's take a look at the Reds lineup. Brandon Phillips will bat leadoff, followed by Joey Votto. Then Todd Frazier leads their club in home runs and RBIs. Jay Bruce, Marlon Byrd, Suarez, Pena, DeSclafani, and Billy Hamilton. On their bench tonight, Barnhart, the switch-hitting backup catcher, Bourgeois, DeJesus Jr., Skipworth, and Skip Schumacher. Skip leading all of Major League Baseball in pinch hits with 13. John Lackey, sensational here at home. Overall, his record stands at 9-5.
He's been so consistent all season long, pounding the strike zone, and then he expands the plate. He gets strike one, then he kind of moves a little bit in, a little bit out, and the slider has been his put-away pitch an awful lot.
Hyundai pitch arsenal. What does John Lackey feature here in 2015?
On the fastball side, he's got the four-seamer and the sinker, and he'll drop his arm angle down a bit. The slider that I mentioned, he uses 22% of the time. Also a bigger curve and a changeup that he uses a little less often.
So here's Brandon Phillips. They're trying anything to get the lineup going. He's been at the top spot. He's batted cleanup. He's batted third. He's been at second. And the first pitch is a strike. 47th time he's been your leadoff hitter for the Cincinnati Reds this year. John Lackey is a strike thrower. We have seen that as well. Pounds the strike zone. Hit to the right side. Backhanded by Piscotty. Leads Lackey for the out. Dobbs Tire and Auto Center's defense for the St. Louis Cardinals tonight, with Holiday in left field, Grichuk in center, and Jason Hayward is in right. Carpenter, Peralta, Wong, and Piscotty along the infield, and Yadier Molina is behind home plate. It's presented by Dobbs Tire and Auto Centers.
You know, Dan, it's interesting. You said the Reds trying to find a way to get offense, but you look around baseball, and how many teams are saying that exact same thing? Boy, we just need one more bat. And you think about the trade deadline nearly upon us. So many teams trying to kind of go after that one bat. That means the price has to be pretty high.
This may be the hottest hitter right now in baseball. There's a look at Frazier. He does have good power on deck. Votto picked up his 19th home run last night off of Jaime Garcia. That proved to be the difference in the game. He's driven in 51. No balls and 2 strikes. Votto had just 3 hits in the first 5 games of July. Since then, 17 games, .491 his average. And he strikes out. Held on to by Molina.
Gotta believe there's something deceptive about the fastball of John Lackey. Hitters just do not seem to pick it up. It's not overwhelming in terms of velocity. That's a pitch up and away, and Votto, of course, just trying to protect the plate there with 2 strikes, but he gets a lot of outs on fastballs, and you think, well, what's so special about that? It just works.
And now it's Frazier, 27 home runs. Third in RBIs with 67. To think that Giancarlo Stanton has missed over a month, and he's tied with Frazier in home runs. Here's an 0-1 pitch. Now 0-2.
Again, sneaky fast.
Late swings. Molina setting up outside, and an 0-2 pitch. Strikes out Frazier. followed by Carpenter and Holiday. And then it's Peralta, Hayward, and Molina. Grichuk, Piscotty, and the pitcher batting ninth, that's John Lackey. On our bench tonight for the St. Louis Cardinals, it'll be Dan Johnson from the left side. And on the right side, it's Reynolds, Borges, Cosma, and Cruz. Wong is hitting .275, 11 home runs. And really, there's been 2 pitches in this series that have been game-changing pitches. One of them in Game 1, the grand slam hit out by Colton Wong, and then last night, Joey Votto. Here's the right-hander, DeSclafani.
First came to the big leagues with Miami, and he's part of a very young, kind of changing roster for the Cincinnati Reds. They're trying to get younger. DeSclafani has been a guy that when he's good, and when he's bad, he's really bad. And he's kind of gone back and forth, good game, bad game, good game, and today he's due for a bad one, and the Cardinals, of course, hoping that that's going to keep going.
Trying to pick up his first win since he beat the Phillies back on June 9th. Since then, 0-3, ERA close to 5. And a strike to Wong. He didn't like it. 1 ball and 2 strikes on Star Wars night here at the ballpark. 51st time that Colton Wong has batted leadoff. And he chops it towards second base. Phillips barehanded, and the pick by Votto. Nice play by Brandon Phillips.
Brandon Phillips has been a Gold Glover, and he loves the dramatic play. You see the behind the back flips at times from him, and the style when it comes to catching the ball, but he really knows how to play second base. Very, very solid defender.
Tough couple of months for Matt Carpenter. Hit 190 in June, 172 now here in July. We talked about it in Game 1 and again last night. There are signs, though, and watching him and just the way the ball's coming off the bat, that he's starting to break out of it.
Driving the ball a bit more the other way, left center field gap. The ball's starting to jump off his bat a little bit. I wouldn't bet against him being a .290 hitter before this season's over. .252 right now.
DeSclafani has been much better on the road this year as opposed to what he's done at home. Road ERA of 2.67, and at home it's near 6. It's a big split there. The 2-1. And he draws a walk. 1-out walk issued to the Cardinals, and it brings in Holiday, and we take a look at the Hyundai pitch arsenal.
Mixture of 4-seamers, sinkers, and sliders for the most part. And nearly 10% will use a changeup as well. Pretty standard arsenal from a right-handed pitcher, and he's not overpowering necessarily. Throwing 91, 92 miles an hour so far.
In steps Holiday. His former teammate Troy Tulowitzki now with Toronto. Homers in his second at bat tonight into the upper deck. He was batting leadoff in that lineup, which is loaded with big bats.
I mentioned that DeSclafani's at 91, 92 as he's facing Holiday here, and we talked about John Lackey being sneaky quick, Dan, but looking at his numbers in that first inning, 94, 95 for John Lackey in the first, so he's got a little extra today. That's a lot higher than his normal average velocity.
1 ball, 1 strike. Definitely caught your eye with the late swings.
Yeah, nothing sneaky about that. That's it. That is fast.
36 years old and throwing mid-90s. Average at 291. The Cardinals do not have a position player that's hitting above 300 right now. And it could be 2. Out at second, the turn by Phillips, not in time, and Holiday is hurt. He knows it, runs to the dugout. His night is through. Goodness, goodness, goodness.
And they're going to call him out, too. Reds are leaving the field.
So they call a double play. And Holiday, you just wonder if he even touched the bag as they help him up in the dugout. Never touched the bag. To be helped up once he got to the dugout.
Seems to be okay there, and he's been trying to run real slowly, but there's something pulling and grabbing, and he is so frustrated right now, not able to touch the base, and almost goes down. Really just in a lot of pain. We saw that happen with Matt Holliday in left field, Dan, and just, oh boy, tough to see that. It was so good to have him back.
Piscotty now in left and Reynolds at first base, and there's a strike to Jay Bruce, and things have gotten quiet here at the ballpark. Mike Matheny saw his team all just stay in the dugout, and the only two that were out on the field, John Lackey warming up, getting ready for the second inning, and everybody else concerned with the health of Holiday. No balls, 2 strikes here on Jay Bruce.
As you said, Dan, it took really the breath away from this crowd. A nice crowd on hand for this series finale, but I think it took the breath out of the team. And really, the two of us sitting up here, too. You just watch Holiday, all the work that he's done to come back, and then to see him go down again. And you hope it's not serious or going to keep him out as long as it did the first time, but you don't know.
Shift is on now with 2 strikes. It's Carpenter near that second base bag. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Concern right now with this team is Matt Holliday. The 2-2 pitch. In the air out to deep center field. Grichuk back at the wall. He'll leap, and it's just over the wall. A home run for Jay Bruce. '17th home run, RBI number 56. Cincinnati on top 1-0.
Well, in the midst of the quiet, Jay Bruce homers off a Lackey just barely. There's Grichuk. Ball ends up back on the field, just barely gets over the wall and the outstretched glove of Randall Grichuk.
Marlon Byrd 10 for 29 in his career against John Lackey. And in terms of going after the first pitch, nobody does it like Marlon Byrd. Very aggressive early in counts.
Hits Lackey well. The numbers very good against John Lackey. He's the one with the most experience against him.
Came over in an off-season trade from the Phillies to Cincinnati. 0-2 pitch. And it's another fastball. That one at 93. 3 strikeouts to the first 5 he's seen tonight. Let's turn to Rick Horton's Toyota keys to the game.
We've talked about Lackey, how good he's been. Looking for his 9th straight quality start here tonight. You have a quality start, you're giving your team a chance to win. That's what we hope for Lackey. And early offense for the Cardinals. They weren't able to score in that first inning. Matt Holliday's injured. But when you're facing a guy like DeSclafani, who's kind of good, bad, you'd like to jump on him early and kind of keep that pressure on him. Don't allow him to think that it's going to be one of those good days.
1 ball, 1 strike. Real good pace for John Lackey here early on. Working quickly. And pumping strikes, as we talked about in the first inning. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Suarez filling in for the injured Zach Cozart. He's done for the year.
The Holiday injury, Dan, coming on July 29th. I can only imagine that that's going to create more, I guess, leverage or opportunity, whatever you want to say, for the Cardinals to have to, maybe pressure's the right word, to make a deal.
Put away by Grichuk for out number 2. What's going through his mind right now? And you find out more in the next 24 hours to see the severity of the injury to Holiday, which was severe at the onset in Colorado. We'll see the Rockies here tomorrow. Cardinals GM John Mozeliak. Switch hitting catcher Brian Pena. But a key word that you used is leverage, and now teams look at this and say, okay, your guy's out.
Yep.
But you don't know the extent of how long.
Well, but they'll use it.
Yeah.
They'll know your need is greater. And nothing like trying to buy something when you got a big need. You've been in those negotiations, Dan.
Oh yeah.
When you're on the bad side of that, you're going to get, well, you're going to get the price that's probably not as good.
Going out in front of the track, it's Grichuk. Pena retired. Jay Bruce, solo home run, 1-0 midway through 2. 17th of the year. And if you're just joining us, Matt Holliday out with an apparent leg injury. The defense for Cincinnati, Marlon Byrd in left, Hamilton in center, Bruce is in right. Frazier, Suarez, Phillips, and Votto along the infield, and Brian Pena is behind the plate. Matt Holliday had been back for 10 games, hit .214 with 1 home run, 5 RBIs. And the Cardinals, when he was out, it was just a different feel to the lineup, the threat that he provides.
Great on-base guy. Dan, it almost seems inhumane to start thinking about kind of next steps for the Cardinals when Holliday's injured just moments ago, but that's what John Mozeliak has to do. I mean, you feel the punch, and you feel, you know, it's a gut check really for the Cardinals right now. For Mike Matheny, David Bell, the leaders of this team. I mean, it hurts, and you're feeling it. You feel for Matt Holliday, but you also have to say, okay, now what do we do? You have to keep going. You have to keep kind of pushing ahead and thinking what's next, and how do I want to say spin it, but how do I create opportunities to where we just kind of don't go into a tailspin.
It was off DeSclafani and then into the glove of Brandon Phillips. Nobody checking on him. He says he's fine. And there's one away, and it brings in Jason Hayward. The names that you hear about all the time are now Yoenis Cespedes of Detroit, free agent to be. Mike Napoli is another one. Carlos Gonzalez, we'll see him tomorrow. One-0 pitch. 2 balls and no strikes on Hayward. DeSclafani was originally drafted by the Red Sox. The 22nd round, did not sign. Pitched collegiately at Florida. Then drafted by Toronto. He was part of that huge 12-player deal with the Marlins and the Blue Jays. Boy, the Blue Jays have had some really good prospects that are now in the major leagues with other teams.
Yep.
Three and 1 the count with 1 out, nobody on. And it's a walk to Hayward. Second walk issued by the right-hander. Here's Yadier Molina hitting .287, 2 homers. He's driven in 38. I saw what you were doing there. Star Wars night, we had the famous Yodi shot from a few years ago. There he is. And we've got Yadi at the plate. I know you're a huge Star Wars and Star Trek fan.
Yeah, this would come under the category of Dan McLaughlin sarcasm, but I'm going with the flow today. Enjoyed our open. Our guys did a great job with that. Of course, the fans here are celebrating together, another theme night, and they've become so popular here at the ballpark. You know, you're interested in something, you want to share that interest while you're watching Cardinal baseball. I think it's great.
Yoda on the left, Yadi on the right. That interest last night was the Ricky Horton bobblehead. You had a great time, didn't you?
I did. What a wonderful night. Family and friends here at the ballpark, and we had a terrific time.
Catching the ceremonial first pitch from Rick Horton, his daughter.
Yes, Jen was very thrilled to do that, and it was a great thrill for me actually to have her involved in that.
Molina with a high fly ball into center. Hamilton backing up for out number 2. I think one of the best pictures I've ever seen of you in your Dodgers uniform and hand in hand with your daughter, who's probably what, 4 or 5 at the time?
Even younger than that, I think. Maybe probably at 89, so she was 3, and it's my favorite picture ever. And her being around baseball, growing up, and then when I was coaching, you know, she's a great Cardinal fan, and we've had some great moments. And one of my greatest moments ever was being on an infield after winning the World Series, and my wife handed me my daughter, and we were just playing on the infield grass with people pouring champagne on me, and I just will never forget that moment in time.
Grichuk with a base hit into center field. Back in the starting lineup tonight. The shot, and you should post it on your Twitter feed for those that have not seen it. It's a wonderful shot. I think it sums up what baseball is all about, and the connection of you know, sons, daughters with their parents.
It's what I love about this game, Dan. In fact, I was at the game with all my friends here last night, and that picture again does tell a great story. But I was able to be at the game here last night. I didn't even know the score. I looked up and it was the 8th inning. I kind of knew we were playing the Reds, but you know, baseball, you can do that. You can connect in other ways at the ballpark. Not everybody is kind of hanging on every pitch, and that's okay.
So you're telling me you really prepared hard for our telecast tonight?
I did. I found out we played the Reds yesterday.
Here's Stephen Piscotty, 6 for 18 to begin his major league career with 2 RBIs.
Also understand Mike Leake was pretty good last night.
He was pretty good. Maybe his final start as a member of the Cincinnati Reds. Chris Welsh, color analyst of the Reds, was on our pregame show. I had the chance to interview him, and he said a lot of the West Coast teams have been linked to Mike Leake. So that picture was after the World Series, or was that in spring training?
That was in spring training.
Okay.
I was actually doing a TV spot with Tommy Lasorda at a spring training site, and my daughter came along, and
great.
Somebody just happened to capture that moment.
Here's a 1-2 pitch. Have you put that up on Twitter?
I just did. Fan was kind enough to forward it, and I retweeted it, so there it is.
Maybe we'll have to get that shot and put it up on our telecast tonight. I just think it's a great shot. Bryce Harper with his 28th home run tonight to take over the league lead in the National League this year as Piscotty hits it to second base. Phillips flips to Suarez, and the Cardinals strand 2. We play 2 here at Busch Stadium. 1-0 Cincinnati. T-Mobile. There it is. That's the photo. Still many more photos to come in, but what a great shot. Look at your daughter wearing your cap. She played for the L.A. Dodgers. Love that shot.
Wonderful moment. I've passed that along. I've shared that. I've looked at that thousands of times. Something about it. Very meaningful to both Jen and I.
And a strike to the pitcher, batting 8th. DeSclafani, followed by Billy Hamilton and Brandon Phillips. 1-0 here in St. Louis. Of concern right now for the Cardinals, the health of Matt Holliday. Good breaking ball, and Lackey is sharp here early on. He has struck out 4. He's given up 1 hit. That was the solo home run to Jay Bruce.
I think he's got a little extra today in terms of velocity and arm strength. And, you know, some days you just have that, Dan, and you can't really point to why that is. It may be something about what you've done between starts. Maybe you get a little extra rest. And you know, we all have things that we perform at that just some days are better than others. And you can't necessarily put your finger on it. But I think his stuff is really good today. Now he just needs to command it and control it.
This will be the 9th bunt base hit for Billy Hamilton.
Boy, he made that look easy, didn't he? And it's almost like hitting a double here, too. If he can get the bunt down perfectly, which he did, by the time Carpenter gets the ball, he was 2 steps from the bag. There's no chance to throw him out. And that sets up the battle that we love between expert base stealer and outstanding defensive catcher. This will be fun.
Molina has never caught Billy Hamilton. 8 for 8 against Yadier Molina. So tell me from the pitcher's perspective, a guy like Hamilton, how he just messes with you.
Well, you almost have to kind of, I don't want to say ignore him, but the guy's going to get a jump, and he's going to kind of steal a lot of bases. You can't be so concerned about him then you forget to throw a good pitch to the plate. So yes, you're conscious of him and you're doing what you can do, but if you worry about him too much, you're liable to throw one right down the middle to Brandon Phillips and have bigger troubles. You saw that with the Cardinals teams of the 80s. Pitchers who became worse pitchers because of the defensive prowess of a guy like Vince Coleman and Willie McGee and others.
He is running on the 1-0 pitch from his knees, and not a chance for Yadier Molina. Stolen base number 47 for Billy Hamilton.
There's your double. That's a good jump. What you like about Billy Hamilton, by watching what he was able to do there, he is going to look like full speed after about 2 steps.
Man, is he fast?
Yeah, there was no kind of easing into that stolen base. He just took off.
Here's a 1-1. Line foul. You know, there's something about watching Aroldis Chapman throw a baseball and Billy Hamilton run.
Yeah, I think I got a lot of Cardinal fans weren't happy with what I said, but I think the 2 most exciting things going on in the National League right now are Chapman in the 9th and Hamilton on the bases. If you're going to tell me what is the most exciting thing in this league, that's it.
Little jam shot off the bat of Phillips for out number 2. Follow the Cardinals with MLB.com at bat. #1 app for live baseball. In-game highlights, live look-ins, replay reviews, radio broadcast, StatCast, and more. Get MLB.com at bat for your smartphone or tablet.
Interesting juxtaposition there. Molina and Coleman. Vince was the most exciting thing in baseball years ago.
And swung on and missed by Joey Votto. obvious here, but officially now being reported by the Cardinals, right quad strain. In hockey, it's a lower body injury, and in baseball, you get the obvious there. And the unfortunate news for St. Louis. That's a strike to Votto. Struck out his first time up.
And Dan, we can jump ahead to the questions that Mike Matheny's going to get, the Cardinal trainers are going to get about the grade and severity of the strain. And that's the one you don't know the answer to. And, you know, it's very difficult to determine early on, and just hope for the best.
0-2 pitch is hit to first and taken there by Reynolds. Reds strand a runner midway through 3. It's 1-0 Cincinnati. Not sure who is better looking, Chabosky or Chewbacca. Star Wars night here at the ballpark.
So when he kind of drew the Chewbacca outfit on a hot summer day in St. Louis, do you think he got the short straw and maybe thought, yeah, maybe Star Wars Day, we ought to do it in April, maybe?
Fredbird's a little warm tonight too.
I would imagine he is.
No balls and 2 strikes. The news of the night, it is not good. If you've just joined us, Matt Holliday went out with an apparent quad injury. Running up the first base line, turned into a double play. Never touched the bag, just circled right into the Cardinals dugout, and then had to be helped up the floor of the dugout and into the trainer's room. And again, we don't know the severity of it. It did not look good. And with the trade deadline edging closer and closer by the minute, just wonder about the pressure now that John Mozeliak feels in having to make a deal, because this is a very good team, obviously, as Lackey strikes out. 6 is a serious number, and on the run, the Cardinals score 6. Any size drink, just 50 cents the next day. Coffee, found, or frozen drinks. When they score, you pour. At your nearest on the run, you earned it.
So to make this point again, Dan, you've got kind of 2 prongs of concern. You've got the Cardinals' concern about what do they do going forward in the next couple of days in terms of how you work this team. But on the hand that's kind of right in front of us right now, it's just feeling bad, and for Matt Holliday himself. Think about the rehab and all the hours that he spent to get back to work, to play, and how important he is to this team. And there he is kind of sitting down in the dugout, literally sitting in the dugout, can't get up and needs to be helped up. It's just, I feel bad for him. I really do. And I know this is a tough moment for John Mozeliak, but it's also a tough moment for Matt Holliday.
2 strikeouts of the inning as Wong is down. Help out Fox Sports Midwest, and the mission continues with our Summer Service Slam. Team up with veterans at the Jackie Joyner Kersey Center this Saturday. We'll build a playground, library, and more. For details and to volunteer, visit missioncontinues.org/Summer Service Slam. You're John Mozeliak, you're 64-36 with your team that's been defined by pitching. And I guess we've gotten so used to seeing the team go into postseason play. You know, let's just say the Cardinals hadn't been there in 10 or 15 years. You're saying, what do I need to do to make sure we get there? Because you don't get many opportunities. It's just the Cardinals are in one of the great runs in franchise history.
You just want that run to go as far as possible. And I think what we've seen is it's getting hot at the right time. It's getting kind of the offense going and finding ways to score runs late in games, to have big winning games. I think that's part of a good October team. But beyond that, it's pitching. Having 3 guys that are just lights out and having a lights out bullpen. The Cardinals are way down the road as far as that's concerned with what they've done with their pitching staff this season. Lackey's been a part of it. I'd hate to think who the 3 starters are right now you'd use for the Cardinals if you had a 3-game series in October. Getting way ahead of ourselves, but that'd be an interesting problem for Derek Lilliquist to have.
Would it depend too on where you're at? Some guys pitch so well here at home.
Well, it'll depend on innings for Waka, innings for Martinez. You have postseason experience of Lackey. You have Jaime Garcia, who's shown flashes of brilliance. It could work his way into being that guy. Who knows? And by the way, Lance Lynn's pretty good.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I don't know where you start and where you stop with that.
3-2 pitch, and now it's a walk. Third walk issued by the Reds right-hander. Second to Carpenter. The deals that really stand out: 2011, that was Colby Rasmus being shipped. Dotel, Jackson, Zimchinski. Mahika was big in 2012, wound up being their closer eventually. Lackey and Masterson a year ago. Steve Cishek this year.
Common denominator, all those names, they're all pitchers.
And now it's Mark Reynolds who is occupying the spot. Began with Matt Holliday tonight. One ball, one strike. Outfield is deep and straight away. A short lead at first by Carpenter. And a check on the runner. Trade deadline has been interesting this year. Everybody was wondering a week ago, is it a seller's market, a buyer's market? Right now it seems to be a market that is just, in terms of big names, on the move.
It is. Tulowitzki.
Reynolds with a high fly ball into right. Jay Bruce on the track and makes the catch. MLB Network reporting Carlos Gomez to the Mets. Talk about that when we come back. August 2nd. Get your tickets at cardinals.com/promotions.
I still love that every time I see it.
I do too.
Isn't that fun?
The kid flips the helmet. I mean, he's got it down, man. And that's how you take in a game. You get your scoops. Check out a little baseball. Not nearly as hot as it was a couple of days ago.
Tell that to Chewbacca.
He's sweating up a storm right now. Here's an 0-1 pitch from John Lackey. Dippin' Dots, that's always a busy spot here in late July and August at the ballpark. Lackey has struck out 4. Struck out Frazier back in the first. The 0-2 pitch to him. You know, baseball has talked about trying to get younger. Todd Frazier was part of the 1998 Little League World Series champions. Went 4 for 4 in the championship game. Was the starting pitcher and hit a home run. And now he strikes out. 5 tonight. AT&T Uverse Rewind. We take you back to a 2-2 pitch. Back in the second inning to Jay Bruce. Just over the wall in center field.
Tried to get it in, but it got a little bit too much of the plate. Saw Yachty setting up and in, and Lackey very seldom misses his spots, but I think he left that out over the plate a bit too much. Bruce, certainly a part of this powerful Reds lineup. We mentioned it in game 1 of the series. This Reds team can hit the long ball.
Always love telling stories about players that get into the community and make a difference. Jay Bruce has done that, especially with those that have disabilities. His sister lives with a mental disability, and he was telling me it just puts everything in perspective. You have a tough day, you go 0 for 4, you strike out 4 times, and he would come home and she's always smiling, always happy. Raises a lot of money. He's involved with the Special Olympics. As you know, I do a golf tournament every October for children with disabilities here in town. We've raised over $2 million.
Yes, you've done a great job with that, Danny. You've done that for a long time. I know that's very near to your heart.
And you see some of the cutest kids you've ever met in your life that come out to that tournament. And Bruce lifts it into deep left center. But I always like telling the stories of those that give back, and Jay Bruce has certainly done that.
This time Yachty's setting up away, breaking ball, hits his spot, maybe a little bit too much of the plate there as well, but he gets his man. And you know, this game, Dan, you know, every once in a while we'll just kind of pinch ourselves and say, look, this is a wonderful sport. It's got great tradition. It's been going on for decades and decades, and the fan base is awesome. 40,000 people here every night, and it's, again, the great connector we talk about for the young generation and families to be here. And the players are kind of young. They're young guys, basically. We forget how young many of these players are until you actually get to be around them and you realize that, you know, they're 22, 23, 24, many of them. But they're getting to have the greatest job in the world, and you can kind of get out of that perspective sometimes because of the pressure in this game to perform and to win. And again, those 40,000 people watching you every night create some pressures to perform. But boy, staying in touch with that kind of joy of playing the game and the little kid in you is not a bad thing.
That's what Bruce was saying.
Yeah.
You go home to it, so you're living with it. You're seeing it every day. The innocence of those that have disabilities. Just puts it in perspective. The check swing. And he went. Strikeout of Marlon Byrd. 6 strikeouts through 4 innings for John Lackey. Or smoothie for just $1.99. All at McDonald's. Bottom of the 4th rolls in. Johnny Peralta, Jason Hayward, and Yadier Molina. How about John Lackey tonight? 43 strikes, only 7 balls so far, as that pitch is skied into shallow right field. Jay Bruce is there. 1 away. Peralta now 0 for his last 17 against the Reds. And that's one team, as he's come to the National League, he has not hit well against.
Yeah, and really no rhyme or reason to that. You think he'd hit well, certainly in Cincinnati, too. That's the kind of ballpark that, you know, you'd think he'd hit some home runs there, and ball really flies out of that ballpark.
There's a line drive base hit off the bat of Hayward going the other way. We're seeing that more and more. Mentioned the Cardinals record at 64-36. These are teams that have had this type of start. 64 wins in their first 100 games. It's our BJC Healthcare difference maker. Phillies in 2011 eliminated by St. Louis in postseason play. Very good Yankees team in 10. Cardinals won the World Series over Detroit. White Sox won the World Series in 2005.
Interesting, the 2004 Cardinals are on that list. That team's so different than this team this year. I mean, in so many ways, Dan. That 04 team had power offense. I mean, they were just crushing the baseball all season long. But the Cardinals this year, same record.
Hit and run was on. Molina trying to protect Hayward, and he hit Brian Pena.
Well, if he hits Brian Pena,
that would be catcher's interference.
Sure would. There's the late swing. It's a foul ball.
Yeah.
The ball hits Pena.
So he did get a piece of it. I'll tell you what, that's protecting the runner right there.
Doing what you're supposed to be doing. And Pena was trying to cheat up just a little bit as far as up on the plate. And he was clear of Molina's swing, but not of the foul tip. Yachty really doing his job there.
Rick, we were talking about Carlos Gomez of the Milwaukee Brewers and that potential deal. Well, he has been traded to the Mets for Zach Wheeler and Wilmer Flores. That should tell you about this day and age in Tommy John surgery, that organizations don't mind it when players have it, or pitchers. They know they'll come back, and Wheeler not pitching this year. He's out with Tommy John, so he'll be part of that rotation for Milwaukee next year.
A bright future for Zach Wheeler.
Remember, Gomez at the age of 16 originally signed with the New York Mets. He was involved with the Santana deal. Some good years with Milwaukee, and now goes to New York. 0-1 pitch and a ground ball that's hit to the right side. 4-6-3 on the double play. Second turn by Cincinnati here tonight. 1-0 Cincinnati on a Jay Bruce home run. "50 pitches tonight for John Lackey. 43 have been strikes. Suarez, Pena, Desclafani for Cincinnati. 6, 7, and 8. The check swing held up. Since allowing a season-high 10 runs in 4 innings at Colorado, John Lackey 5-1 in the 8 starts since then, a 1.75 ERA. He loves pitching right here at home at Busch Stadium. 36-year-old, what he's done in his career with St. Louis, and if you want to take that even further to what he's done this year, 7-2, 1.97 ERA in 11 home starts. I found it interesting. I asked John about this the other day. I said, what is it about Busch Stadium? Why you like it here? And he said, there is the comfort of being home, but I love this mound. The mound here at the ballpark is just one I enjoy. It just feels comfortable to me.
Once you get that comfort, you kind of expect it time after time, and there's not kind of that, you go out in another ballpark. Now, they're all supposed to be the same, but they don't feel the same. That's all I can say. And even the kind of the sight lines from the mound to the plate, I know that every pitching rubber is 60 feet 6 inches from home plate. But I'm telling you, San Diego, it seemed like it was about 55. LA seemed like it was about 55. Chicago in the old days seemed like it was about 80 feet away. and I can't really tell you why, other than the kind of the visuals behind home plate, and I'm sure that had something to do with it. And maybe the mounds were slightly higher and slightly lower in some cases. I know they're trying to make that as uniform as possible in baseball, and I think they do a good job of that. But the comforts at home, this is not a 3 starts on the road, 3 starts at home comparison, Dan. This has been over a number of starts for Lackey that shows that he likes pitching here.
Pitching again for the major league minimum. We've talked about that and that quirkiness of the contract he had with Boston, and a free agent to be. 2 balls and 2 strikes. And the count runs full. Cardinals starters at Busch Stadium this year against Cincinnati in the 5 games prior to tonight. Reds had hit 185 against the Cardinals starters. 5 quality starts. And a walk issued by Lackey. First walk he's issued, and now it's Desclafani. Cardinals bunt defense here with Matt Carpenter cheating in at third base.
Better to bunt to first base if you can.
Popped up. Yadi's got it.
That's a nice turn for the Cardinals. This pitch up and in. He is trying to bunt the ball to first, but he lets the bat head drop a bit, pops it up, gets underneath it. You're trying to bunt the ball to first base because that third baseman is breathing down your neck, and the first baseman has to hold the runner there, so he's got a longer way to come, tougher throw to get the throw to second base. So you understand why he was doing that. He just didn't get it done.
And he's got to play in now for Billy Hamilton. Basically doesn't move. Hamilton showing bunt. That's how he picked up his base hit back in the third. As a pitcher going through the Cardinals organization, what were you taught when somebody squares to bunt? You know it's a sacrifice situation. Where do you want it?
Well, you normally try to throw fastballs up in the strike zone. And the theory is that the fastball at the top of the zone is the toughest pitch to bunt. I'm not 100% sure that's true.
Molina just gets Hamilton.
You have a nasty breaking ball. That's not easy either.
It's the big leagues, huh? Nice play by Yachty. 1-0 midway through 5. Votto in check tonight. He's part of Archaea in the driver's seat, and keeping him in check is how you beat the Reds. Joey Votto, 37 multi-hit games. As a matter of fact, Joey Votto coming into play tonight is trying to make it 16 consecutive games, reaching base twice in those games. And he's closing in on Pete Rose for the Reds' all-time record.
0 for 2 so far in this game. And Votto, not only does he get the multi-hits, but I think the walks that are certainly well chronicled that he's able to get with his terrific eye and on-base percentage mentality. And he's on base all the time. As simple as that.
Grichuk, a single to center field. First time up. You didn't like that bunt by Billy Hamilton, did you?
I did not. And the reason I didn't, Billy Hamilton, not really a power guy, but he's got enough power. I think in that case, his idea ought to be hit a double, drive in a run. And best case scenario, the walk happens. All he's done is pass the baton to Brandon Phillips and said, hey, you drive in a run. I don't like that with 2 outs. I think you're asking for 2 hits in a row instead of just trying to get the 1 hit. And plus, if he gets a bunt base hit, he's on the bases behind Pena, so he's not going to be able to steal anyway. Now, if he was on at the plate with 2 outs and nobody on, I'm okay with him bunting because that is like a double.
Frazier makes the play. Rockies in town tomorrow. Part of our Budweiser What's on Tap will come your way at 5:30. Note the start time. 5:30 with our pregame show. Russin against Martinez. Carlos 11-4 this year, coming off a good start. Budweiser, what's on tap? One of the big rumors circulating here at the ballpark is Stephen Piscotty digs in. The Detroit Tigers and what they may do. DeSclafani not in time, and Piscotty is aboard. And the biggest fish that they have is David Price. The team that is being talked about the most among those in the media here at the ballpark, and they follow it every minute, was David Price potentially landing with the Dodgers. Can you imagine that? Greinke, Kershaw, and Price. Remember last season, traded to Detroit, joined Verlander and Scherzer.
It's a pretty good October lineup. Assumption would be that the Dodgers would get there. And, you know, I say 3 starters. You really need 4 in the playoffs. But most of your games are going to be your big three. They're going to get the most action with the off days that we see. Ball pops out of the glove of Pena, but he stays with it, gets on it quickly. So similar situation, Dan. Pitcher's at the plate, runner at first base, bunt the ball to the first base side. Got Votto holding the runner on there. It's much more difficult play for him to come in and get that lead runner at second. He's going to charge as fast as he can, but he comes into the picture a lot later than Frazier does.
1 ball, 1 strike on John Lackey. Struck out back in the third. DeSclafani has struck out 2. What's interesting is that Matt Latos and Michael Morse were reportedly traded to the Dodgers earlier this morning. That's been taken away, at least at last check. Third team may be involved. Dodgers would give up a compensation pick, salary relief for the Marlins. They'd save nearly $15 million. Latos has been pitching really well. Votto thinking 2, safe at second. And looked like Suarez was off the bag at second base.
He's asking for it to be looked at.
This is not reviewable. This is the neighborhood play, if you will, so not reviewable.
But arguable. There he's on the bag. Here comes the throw. And he's off the bag. Just barely. But by the letter of the law, he's off the bag.
So sacrifice 3, 6, 4. Yeah, you take it any way you can get it. Tying run in scoring position. There's Brian Price, the manager of the Reds, who relinquished his pitching coach's duties to Jeff Pico. Pico pitched in the major leagues with Chicago. Wonder how hard that was for Brian Price.
Well, I'm sure it's still difficult for him because he was a very successful pitching coach for a number of years. And to be able to just kind of give up the control and not be involved at all, I would say is very, very tough. But Black had to do that when he became a manager. And as you mentioned, not a reviewable play, the neighborhood play. So all you get is an argument, discussion, agree to disagree. And the Cardinals now with a runner in scoring position. Now they have to capitalize on this break.
2 outs, runner at second. You mentioned the other night that Colton Wong primarily had been a number 3 hitter in his career, whether it be college or even in the minor leagues. He's batting leadoff, but RBI opportunity right here.
Really can see him hitting in so many different places in the lineup. Not fourth, but he has the RBI potential, the power potential, the speed. You can see him in a lot of spots.
On base percentage at the leadoff spot has been at .311 this year for Colton Wong. Only 12 walks in 213 at bats.
So the Cardinals get a break. And the reminder of the outfield arms for Cincinnati, very good.
Here's a 1-1. Wong hits it sharply to Suarez. Stays with it. Slings it over to Votto. We played 5 on Star Wars night here at Busch Stadium. Reds on top. It's 1-0. Scherzer, Lackey, and Matt Harvey, DraftKings players to watch. Highest percentage of opponent swing on the first pitch tonight. John Lackey, 5 innings, only 2 hits allowed. Everything is kept track of now, isn't it? First pitches, first pitch swing and misses.
All trying to get some piece of information that'll help you get an edge.
Here's Brandon Phillips. And he chops it too short. Taken there by Peralta. Phillips over 3 tonight.
I think the simple reason why you're swinging at the first pitch against John Lackey is because it's a strike. He's going to throw a lot of first pitch strikes. It may be the best ball you have to hit because he's going to expand his zone, so you've got guys offering at it. So everybody on that list are people that you're trying to get a hit on the pitch that maybe is your one shot, because you know if they get ahead of you, they're going to put you away and you're out.
Joey Votto came into this ball game tonight against St. Louis hitting .440. And I found it interesting, Lackey pumping strikes back in the third to Votto with a runner at third. But then you ask yourself, do you want to deal with Votto or Frazier with 2 on? Rarely does he get himself out. You talk about Joey Votto. Rick's going to be hanging with that couple later.
Oh boy. It's a slippery slope to the dark side, isn't it?
A check swing and did not go. We just saw Brandon Phillips. Would he be on the move? Would a team want to pick him up for a stretch run? Get a veteran that's in a losing situation right now and jumpstart him. He is closing in on 10-5. 10 years in the big leagues, 5 with one team, and then you control your own destiny. What a trade that was for Cincinnati. Picked up from Cleveland for a player to be named later. It was a pitcher that didn't do much. Brandon Phillips now is second all-time in games played at second base for the Cincinnati Reds. Number 1 on that list, Bid McPhee, played in the late 1880s. A strikeout of Votto. Ron Oster was on that list. Joe Morgan, the Hall of Famer, 4th for the Cincinnati Reds. 2 down.
Said Lackey has good stuff today, good fastball. That one caught a lot of the plate, but still froze Joey Votto.
What a gorgeous night this is. Clark Street between Cardinals Nation and Ballpark Village.
Dan, it was interesting to hear Skip Schumacher tell Jim Hayes yesterday, or the day before, I guess it was, that he's going to be very happy when the trade deadline is over, because it's very distracting as a player. And there is, for fans of the game and for us to talk about all the potential moves, I think that's part of the fun of the game. But it is entirely not fun for players, because you are talking about teammates, you're creating uncertainty. They have relationships with each other, and it's not a good topic for them. Let's put it that way.
Molina, foul territory. He's got it. One of our favorites, Skip Schumacher. Midway through 6, 1-0 Cincinnati. with 8 gallons or more now until September 24th. You receive up to 50% off on a pair of tickets to a Cardinals home game. For more information, visit cardinals.com/Phillips66. That's not Phillips 66, that's Brandon Phillips. You think about Holiday not in this lineup, and you don't want to pick on guys, but the numbers just have not been there for Matt Carpenter. And I was saying this the other night, Rick, as he goes many times, the offense will go for the Cardinals.
But still surprising that Carpenter's on-base percentage continues to be good. 2 walks tonight. On-base percentage on par with Johnny Peralta's. And so as we say he's having an off season, it's really, relatively speaking, off season compared to the power numbers, the hits, the average, yes, but from an on-base percentage standpoint, he still gets on base a lot. So still valuable to have Matt Carpenter there. You just know there's more in him.
He held the Matt Carpenter baseball camp for kids about a week ago, and he was saying, number one, I love to give back. Number two, if I would have had a pro athlete have a camp like this, I would have eaten it up. And we saw a feature on that during the pregame show as Carpenter hits a fly ball out to deep left field. And the catch made by Bird. Really nice piece put together for the pregame show by our intern Patrick Carricker. His dad works locally in radio here at 101 ESPN, and Patrick has done a great job for us this summer.
Well, Matt Carpenter did have a big leaguer help him when he was young. Torrey Hunter, who helped him get to the next level in terms of how to work out, and he had a chance to connect with Torrey Hunter this season playing the Minnesota Twins, and Torrey had played it in his hometown and was connected to the high school, and his father, who's a coach and does a great job as a coach, and Torrey got connected and really taught him how to work hard. And we certainly know Matt Carpenter knows how to work hard.
There's no doubting that. And the 0-1 is a fly ball into deep center. Just missed it. Saturday, 12,000 kids 15 and under entering with a ticket receive their own limited edition mini Build-A-Bear workshop bear featuring the Saturday alternate jersey, and that's also photo day, so get down here to the ballpark early. Cardinals have now been shut out in the last 18 innings of this series. 22 of the past 23 innings. Here's Peralta, who is 0 for 2.
775 feet of outs in this inning.
2 outs, nobody on. Peralta is due. $14 home runs this year for Johnny Peralta, and that caught the home plate umpire, Mike Muchlinski. Peralta hit by the pitch. There were 5 that were hit in the game 1 of this series.
Pena's trying to call out a trainer, and here comes Chris Conroy. Wonder whether that caught the left bicep or shoulder of the umpire. There it catches the uniform and maybe even the elbow of Muchlinski. He's trying to kind of move past it, but you could tell he's in a little distress there. And always kind of a good deal that trainers, and Dan, that happens actually in minor leagues when trainers are taught. They kind of, yes, Chris Conroy works for the Cardinals, but when you're traveling somewhere, the trainers for both teams are really available for each other too. And I've seen that quite a bit in the minor leagues, where actually one will cover for the other. Now, you don't see that at the big league level because there are multiple trainers here, but everybody's just concerned about the well-being of everybody on the field, including the umpires.
Talk to Chris Conroy, the Cardinals trainer that you see there. He sits behind me on the plane, and we were talking about being a trainer in the minor leagues. the amount of hours that these guys put in, because they're not only the trainer, but many times they're the guys that line up the buses, the airline tickets, the meal money.
There's some multitasking going on.
They carry the bags.
But imagine you go in, a pitcher's injured. You go into the training room, you get him ice, you try to get him taken care of, and then while you're in there, something else happens on the field to one of your players. So what they'll do is they'll nod to the trainer on the other team to cover me while I'm gone, just to make sure that there's a safety issue that guys are taken care of.
And our home plate umpires had a good zone here tonight. Would you agree?
Yeah, I think he's done a nice job. Very few complaints.
In steps Hayward, who has walked and singled. Wegner is the crew chief. Foster and Iasonia on the bases as well. So here is Jason Hayward. His base hit was to left field. We were talking about Matt Latos earlier in our broadcast, and DeSclafani came over to Cincinnati for Matt Latos. .6'1", 175 from Freehold, New Jersey. To the shortstop, Suarez, who hands it over to Phillips. And the Cardinals again are through here in the 6th. 1-0 Cincinnati. Nights. The 4th of 6 autograph nights is this Friday, and 2 current Cardinals will sign autographs in the Ford Plaza for fans 15 and under. 2 former Cardinals will sign for fans of all ages. For details, visit cardinals.com/promotions. Oh, we have a moment. We have our second night of our speaker series coming up. We've added a second night. That'll be Tuesday, August 4th. Ozzie Smith and Willie McGee together on stage. That'll be Tuesday, August 4th. Cardinals.com/events. Handful of tickets remain for that. First night sold out in 12 hours. Stretch there by Reynolds. Jay Bruce retired, one away here in the 7th. I can't wait to visit with those two.
Well, it'll be a blast, and I know everybody who's going to be a part of those events will love hearing from those 2 Cardinal greats, Hall of Famer and a St. Louis Cardinal Hall of Famer.
You got any questions I need to ask him?
I want you to ask Willie McGee what George Hendrick told him when McGee first came to the Cardinals and was going to play center field. I want him to tell that story.
1982. Silent George in right, McGee in center.
Yes, and we'll hold that whole story for your group, Dan. So I hate if somebody's actually listening to us now. I don't want to kind of.
Is it clean enough to ask?
Oh, it's a terrific story.
Okay.
Yeah. It only can be told in classic George Hendrick style. Who was fun teammate.
You're rolling your eyes.
Love George Hendrick.
Here's Marlon Byrd.
Well, whatever question you ask Willie, you're going to get a humble answer to it.
You bet. One of our favorites, Ozzie. I did an event with him this offseason, and we spoke to a group right before Christmas, and he could not have been more gracious with his time, answering the questions, signing autographs. He actually did that over at the Cardinals Hall of Fame and Museum. Tough play. Nice pick by Carpenter.
Very nice.
Mazda game summary. Let's get you caught up. What's happening here? It's not much offense for the Cardinals, being shut out. It's 1-0. And the big story of the night, back in the first, Matt Holliday trying to beat out a double play. And you can see he's not running all that hard. And then all of a sudden the quad again. It's injured. And he is out. Ozzie had so much fun in that night we had. They had dancing afterwards. He stayed and danced.
Did he really?
Yeah. In the air, right field. Foul territory with room. Hayward. Let's stretch. Let's see if the offense can't get going here for St. Louis. A Jay Bruce home run and a new Jason Hayward fan. It's 1-0. Gateway Honda dealers donate $1,000 to the Make-A-Wish Foundation. Cardinals back in the fourth trying to hit and run with Yadier Molina at the plate. You can understand why they're trying to get anything going offensively. Molina, by the way, 8 hits in that situation with the hit and run on. That's what we're talking about earlier, that DeSclafani has been much better on the road in terms of his ERA. Record 3-2. The Cardinals on this homestand now, and this is updated. Started with the makeup game with Kansas City. They are hitting .201. And home runs have been the difference in this series. Wong's grand slam Monday night. Last night, Votto 3-run homer. Tonight, Jay Bruce a solo shot. That's all the scoring this evening.
Home run inning. We could use 1 or 2.
Molina, Grichuk, and Piscotty for St. Louis. Seth Maness up and throwing in the pen. 1-1 pitch. Up and in.
Since it's Star Wars night, Dan, I'm reminded of that line from Yoda. Do or do not. There is no try. And I think at some point you just got to find a way to get it done. Sounds like something Yoda said, but I think sounds like something Tony La Russa would have said.
Just going to say that. You either do or you don't.
Exactly. Yoda LaRussa.
Imagine that with the ears and the hair.
No.
Nice photo there. A Data Strong fan of the game. You can send in your photos. Hashtag MW Data Strong Fan. Brought to you by T-Mobile. Here's Randall Grichuk, who is 1 for 2.
It was actually a Tommy Lasorda line that he used all the time. He said, I can get anybody to try. Don't tell me you're trying.
I want results.
If I'm a high school coach, I'm going to tell my guys, hey, do your best, enjoy the game. This is Lasorda's great line. And if I was a college coach, I'd say, young man, do your best at this game and prepare yourself for life after college. Get ready for a job. And if I'm a major league manager, get it done. We're here to win.
I've heard John Mozeliak say it time and again. This is a results-driven business. I've had so many tough decisions to make. That's a foul ball. But John talking about it. I've had so many tough decisions to make on a personal level, but I have to do it. Mo on the phone right now. He says, look, sometimes you got to cut guys loose. Sometimes you got to trade them. It's a results-driven business. 2-2 the count.
Part of it. And you've got a short period of time, so he's working the phone, working the iPhone as well.
The 2-2. And a strikeout of Grichuk. Ball was dropped. He's tagged. And the right-hander, the Reds now with 3 strikeouts.
It's actually a slider that doesn't break. It's a backup slider. Goes the other way. It happens sometimes. You get underneath it. It has the spin of a slider, but doesn't go where a slider's supposed to go. A lot of times you'll fool a hitter with that. He can't pull the trigger because the ball doesn't end up where he thinks it's going to end up.
Piscotty is 1 for 2. Still looking for that first major league home run. It's been a very small sample size, but I think you have to like the versatility of Piscotty, and he doesn't seem to be overwhelmed at all.
Fitting right in. I wonder if he knows it's the home run inning. Think he knows that? I'm guessing not.
Oh, they're all talking about it right now. Gateway Honda home run inning. Guys, we got to get one. 0-1 pitch. He was trying to do it. 0-2. And he sits in the bullpen, and we saw him pitch last night. He'd be available for tonight. That's Chapman, so you're running out of outs before you get to him. Outfield is straight away. 0-2 pitch.
I would think in some ways he may be the most valuable commodity that you could get before the trade deadline.
He ends games.
Because he ends games. Now, I know people will say that closers are often overvalued and you can always find another one, and you can't find another one of them.
No.
He's different.
Piscotty with a fly ball into center. And the Cardinals have yet to score a run. 1-0. We head to the 8th. Our studio and a Bomberito Sports Update with Jim Hayes. John Lackey here tonight has allowed just 2 hits, but yet the Cardinals with 3 hits, no runs. The one hit that stings, Jay Bruce solo home run to dead center field, barely made it over the wall. That came on a 2-2 pitch back in the second. He allowed a base hit to Billy Hamilton, a bunt hit in the third. He's allowed 1 runner since then via the walk. That's it.
Well, Lackey will lead off the bottom of the 8th inning, but only 79 pitches through 7. This will be his last inning. And he really deserves a victory in this game. There's no question about it with what he's done.
Pena, bouncer, long backhands, 1 away.
Another first pitch out. That's only 80 pitches with 1 out in the 8th inning for Lackey.
Cardinals will have Lackey's spot coming up, and then the top of the lineup as Pena is retired to start the 8th inning. Cardinals will get to the bullpen of the Reds. DeSclafani is done. Skip Schumacher, 13 pinch hits to lead baseball this year.
This is the most that Cardinal fans have had to cheer about here tonight.
First pitch is strike 2, Schumacher. Well put, Rick. It is the loudest they've gotten.
I think if you had a John Lackey exit from the game for whatever reason, which probably won't happen that way because he's just going to get pinch hit for, but certainly he deserves a big round of applause and would get one if the moment is right, but there just hasn't had a good moment. And the worst moment of all was the Holiday injury. Very quiet crowd after that, trying to contemplate what that really means.
For players that aren't dealt, you wouldn't assume that Schumacher is going to be a hot commodity. 13 pinch hits this year, very respectable, obviously, but if Cincinnati unloads some of this talent that they have, and young players, major league ready young players come to Cincinnati, there may not be a better guy to have around them to see how to be a professional, talk about the game, learn the game from Skip. I mean, he's an important piece for Cincinnati in just teaching the game and being around young players as he strikes out. Eight tonight for John Lackey. Tonight on Fox Sports Live on Fox Sports 1. The summer's most shocking trade. They'll break it down. A look at Troy Tulowitzki. Tom Brady and company fire back at the NFL. And would Justin Verlander have to be perfect to get his first win of the season? All coming up tonight on Fox Sports Live. But that's the kind of teammate Skip has been over the years.
That's why he's still playing this game.
There's Peralta. Cardinals will see the bullpen coming up in the 8th. Pinch hitter, top of the lineup. Can they get it going? 1-0, a Jay Bruce home run. Difference in this game. Our Chevy called to the pen takes us to J.J. Hoover. And Hoover making his 45th appearance. He's the setup man to get to Chapman.
There was a time where they thought he would be their closer, and then Chapman came along. And remember, Chapman at the beginning, there was a big question about whether or not he was going to be a starter or a reliever. And there was a big debate even in the Cincinnati Reds organization. Dusty Baker was a part of that conversation, and Walt Jocketty, of course. And Hoover was a guy they thought could eventually be their closer. But he's had a nice season in that 8th inning.
So Peter Borges pinch hitting for John Lackey, who was spectacular here tonight.
86 pitches, 8 innings of work. His best start, in my opinion, in 2015, and maybe as a Cardinal. Only 3 base runners. One was a bunt single, a walk, then the home run to Bruce, and that's it. And may lose the ballgame.
1-1 pitch. If not for Holiday, if not for the lack of offense, we've been talking about this would be maybe his best start, as you mentioned, as a Cardinal. But that has been overshadowed with what has transpired here tonight. And a 1-2 pitch to Borges.
I think Lackey's been overshadowed, even though he's a veteran. We know his name. We know what he can do in October. You know, he's a known commodity. But I think he gets a little overshadowed even on this team with kind of the terrific seasons of Carlos Martinez and Michael Wacha. But John Lackey has had a pretty nice year himself.
I was thinking before the first pitch of this game, he's been completely overshadowed.
Pitching like a #1.
Right. We gave you the numbers, what he's done here at home this year since the start in Colorado. There's Martinez on the left, Michael Wacha on the right.
Now, there's no real formula to say a guy's a #1 pitcher, #2, #3, and it's kind of just subjective, very subjective, Dan. But when you look at some ball clubs that are struggling to get good starting pitching, they'd love to have all 5 of these Cardinal guys.
This crowd ready to cheer for something offensively. 42,334. 4-2-3-3-4. The 2-2. Hoover to Borges. Top of the lineup. And that takes us to Colton Wong. Cardinals baseball on Fox Sports Midwest is brought to you by Infinity. Visit your local area Infinity retailer for a test drive today. Strike 1 on Colton Wong. Just feel the pressure too building on the offense. The lack of hits, lack of offense and runs.
Well, it's not a matter of trying harder and squeezing the bat more and swinging harder. All those things are counterproductive. And you really have to just kind of stay within your swing, stay within your comfort area at the plate, and kind of breathe. I mean, breathing is part of it. Relaxing.
Pittsburgh has posted a win tonight, 10-4 over Minnesota. If the Cardinals cannot come back, their lead would be 4.5 with Colorado coming to town tomorrow. Here's a 1-2. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Long is grounded out, struck out. First ground out to second time to short.
Follow up on that thought, Dan. I think a true elite level professional baseball player is able to relax and concentrate at the same time. Those 2 things together.
Hit to short. Suarez 2 down. This copyrighted telecast presented by the authority of the Cardinals. It may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the St. Louis Cardinals.
when you first hear relax and concentrate, it sounds like it doesn't go together. But what you're really doing is you're relaxing your body and you're focusing your mind, and that's really where you've got to get to at the plate to have a good at bat. Can't tighten up, got to let it go, but you have to focus on the baseball.
Carpenter is 0 for 1 last time up in the 6th. Sent one to the track. He has also walked twice. Cardinals have received 3 walks. They have stranded 5 tonight to go along with 3 base hits. A 1 pitch. One and 2. Matt Carpenter, 87 hits this year. 46 of the 87 have come with 2 strikes. Here's a 1-2. 2 balls, 2 strikes. The 2-2. Carpenter rips it down the right field line. That ball is fair. One hops off the wall. On his way to second. 2-out double and a chance for Reynolds.
It's one thing about a low-scoring game. It can turn on a dime potentially. That ball driven into the right field corner by Carpenter. Keeps it fair. The strong arm of Jay Bruce makes it close at second, but 1 pitch and all of a sudden you've got the tying run at second base for Mark Reynolds.
Ball 1. Reynolds in the lineup tonight, replacing the injured Matt Holliday. Two balls and no strikes. Two-0 pitch. Well, that's a nasty pitch on 2-0.
Sure is. Didn't give in. Throw a fastball right down the middle. Throws a little wrinkle. Down and away. Gets the call.
The 2-1. Now 2-2.
Danny, a comeback Cardinal victory would be a nice salve on the wound of losing Matt Holliday in this game.
Tonight, more than others. 2 balls, 2 strikes. The next two of Mark Reynolds. 3-2. Peralta on deck. Does he come back with that 2-0 pitch? Or is it the fastball?
Little slider down and away, see if he can get him to chase. I would guess he would. Problem with doing that is sometimes you end up throwing just to get me over the plate slider, because you think you can get him and you might hang it.
Ground ball left side, taken there by Frazier. That sends us to the 9th. 1-0 Cincinnati.
through 8 innings for John Lackey, giving up just 2 hits, 1 run, 1 walk, 8 strikeouts. And Seegers is our Chevy call to the bullpen. He's been busy. Appearance number 52. The ERA just 1.36. Strikeout walk ratio very good. Seegers has become a force in that Cardinal bullpen, and he'll try to keep it close, and maybe the Cardinals will find a way to score off a Chapman in the bottom of the ninth. Won't be easy.
Cardinals will have Peralta, Hayward, Molina coming up. Right now, though, trying to keep it 1-0. And here is Brandon Phillips. Phillips, one of the few players that still dates back to the Montreal Expos, or at least their organization. As Seegers delivers a strike, drafted in the 2nd round by Montreal. There's only one player, I believe, that played with Montreal that's still in the league. Here's an 0-1 off the mask of Yadier Molina. No balls and 2 strikes. 3-time All-Star. Here's an 0-2 pitch.
There's the changeup from Seegers, a pitch he's been using a lot more this season than he did a year ago. The confidence certainly growing with that particular pitch.
It's sharply to short. Peralta on a hop. 1 away. Hyundai pitch arsenal for left-hander Kevin Segrist.
A lot of fastballs from 73.7% fastballs. The changeup we mentioned, the slider he uses occasionally. Ball just explodes from Segrist.
Fun matchup here with Votto and Segrist. Look at Votto's numbers in terms of average, pretty much identical, facing lefties or righties.
I'm listening, Dan, to see if I can hear the glove pop in the Cincinnati Reds bullpen about a mile away from us, with Chapman throwing there.
He's getting loose.
Boom.
You had your bobblehead night going on last night, and he had a pitch. He was just messing around. It looked like. Let's listen in here. Bam. And he was throwing a lot of off-speed pitches, and then he was very slow going back to the mound and kind of fidgety and stretching, and you thought something was wrong. And I brought it up. I said he didn't look quite right. Not sure if he is right. Next pitch at 100. Yep, he's fine.
He's okay. He said 103.9 is the fastest pitch on record for the season, and the Reds have documented the top 50 pitches thrown velocity-wise in baseball this season, and he's thrown them all. That's why he's different.
And that pitch is taken low. Highest average velocity with the fastball, Chapman. 99.6. Caminero, the hard thrower. Pittsburgh, Carter Capps, who has that funky delivery as well. Kelvin Herrera and Trevor Rosenthal. Walk to Votto, now Todd Frazier. Frazier lines it out to left field, and the catch is made by Piscotty.
I thought for a moment that he was having a hard time picking that ball up, and that maybe it was caught in a bank of lights or in the stands, and kind of a little unsure. Piscotty has had more experience as a right fielder than as a left fielder, but able to make the play. And as you mentioned earlier, Dan, in the telecast, I think he's fit in well. at this level. He belongs here and may have some extended play.
Now, for sure. 2 outs. Here's Jay Bruce. Fastball and a strike at 94. His solo home run on a 2-2 pitch back in the 2nd inning. The difference in this game.
You think about the speed of the fastballs we've seen in this game from Lackey and from Segrist and Hoover. You're talking about 94, 95, and you know, those terrific fastballs. But when we have a pitcher that's throwing 88, we say he doesn't throw hard. He certainly doesn't throw as hard as a guy throwing 93. Well, that's 5 miles an hour difference. Well, you add 5 miles an hour to what we're already seeing here, and now you've got Chapman. So you better gear it up.
The 2-1 pitch to Jay Bruce. Instead of check on the runner at first. That's Votto. Votto with 6 steals this year. He's been caught twice. Two and two. Jay Bruce came in just 2 for 15 here at Busch Stadium this year. Two pitch. Now 3-2, where Bruce has struggled this season. On this particular count, 0-81, 3 for 37.
Doesn't it seem, Dan, that 2015 hitting has all of a sudden across baseball become a very difficult thing to do?
It's disappeared. And power. Ground ball that's hit to Colton Wong. Tricky hop there. Chapman coming on. 1-0 Cincinnati. Budweiser, make a plan to make it home. And by Ford, the official cars and trucks of the St. Louis Cardinals. It's another huge crowd, over 42,000 here at Busch Stadium. Chapman is into the ball game. He has just one blown save this year, June 3rd at Philadelphia. There are the numbers of the hitters due up for St. Louis against Chapman. for 16 with 8 strikeouts. His career against St. Louis, Chapman has been dominant. 12 of 13 in save opportunities. He saved the last 11 in a row. And to further the story of his dominance, as you get a look at his numbers, brought to you by Chevrolet. His last 21 1/3 against St. Louis. 0 ERA. 6 hits total.
Well, the 75 strikeouts is what pops for me when you look at the numbers of Chapman. Well, you want to beat their best. Here's your chance.
Inside to Peralta. The last 1-0 Red shutout at St. Louis. It was a memorable game. It was Aaron Harang and Chris Carpenter. Carpenter went 8 innings. Harang went 7. And the lone RBI, and this is why I remember it, was off the bat of Aaron Harang. David Weathers picked up the save. Last time the Cardinals were shut out by Cincinnati in back-to-back games all the way back in 1990. Ground ball left side. Suarez deep in the hole. Low throw and picked by Votto. Good play on both ends.
Good range by Suarez. Plants. He knows he's got some time to throw. He throws it low. And Votto handles it. You know, it's something for infielders to learn. You're always better off throwing it low than high. So if you're going to miss low. Keep the ball down. Give your first baseman a chance to scoop it. The ball will get there eventually. And if he's got good hands, as Votto does, you just don't want to make a high throw. You bring your first baseman off the bag. That doesn't work.
1 out, nobody on. Here's Hayward. Fastball at 101 and a strike.
It's 101, but it feels like 107. Like when we do our temperature.
Mm-hmm.
And it feels hotter.
So it's, you're telling me it's the heat index.
He's got his own built-in heat index.
Many times opposing teams will not put up the miles per hour up on the boards. Home ballparks, they've done that here with Chapman. So look at the standings. What is at stake tonight. 2 balls, 1 strike. Hayward with a base hit and a walk tonight. 1 for 2. Big gap in right center if he can pull it. Chapman and Hayward with something in common, and that's the baseball coming to them and scary, and I mean scary, injuries. Hayward hit by Jonathan Neese, comebacker a couple of years ago, off the forehead of Chapman. The 2-2. 2 down.
Hayward didn't like the call. Does it catch the outside corner or not? Very close. Again, it's been a very consistent strike zone here tonight. It hasn't been wide. That's not why the pitchers are pitching well. They're just making good pitches tonight.
And it's up to Molina with 2 down, nobody on. Final hole for St. Louis. Ball, 1 strike. That's not fair. The guy's throwing 101 and then has a nasty slider to go along with it.
No, it's not. He's not a one-trick pony. He's got a very good assortment, which is why they thought he could be a starter.
The 1-1. 1-2. The Cardinals down to their final strike.
This is not where you want to yell out to him, challenge somebody. Because he will.
One-two pitch to Molina. Fouled back. 1-0-2. Well, we have a moment. Our player of the game, Anthony DiSclafani, presented by Budweiser. 7 innings, 3 hits, 3 walks, 3 strikeouts, 92 pitches in 7 innings. 1-2 pitch, and this ball game comes to a close. Yachty strikes out, and the Reds, behind a home run from Jay Bruce, take 2 of 3 here in St. Louis.
All pitching here tonight. DiSclafani, John Lackey. Terrific game for both of those guys, but I think Lackey was even a bit better. Unfortunately, he serves up a home run to Jay Bruce in the 2nd inning, and that is all we get offensive wise. Just 6 hits in this game, and we saw a lot of mid-90s fastballs, and they're in the 9th, reaching 102.
On to the postgame show. Hungo is standing by with Jim Hayes. All the news and highlights from around Major League Baseball. The final of 1-0. Postgame show next.